everyone, in this video my daughter and I are going to show you how to create a felted bar of soap. All you're going to need for this is a bar of soap, which you could cut in half. We cut our ivory bar of soap in half so we can make two. And you're going to need some wool. We're going to use some of our core wool first, our undyed wool, and then we're going to decorate our soap with some colored wool using needle felting. You could use an old pair of nylons, pantyhose, tights. You don't need to. We're going to use it and we'll show you how. We're going to do that, and then besides these materials you are going to need some water, hot and cold water, and we'll be putting that just into bowls later on. All right, to get started you're going to lay out your wool, and if you want to use all of your colored scraps you can make this multicolored too. We're just going to be using our white core wool first, but if you're at home and you don't have just one color, just know you can lay out different colors and make yours multicolored. All right, so stretch it out, make a little, like a sheet of it. Yep, a pillow. You're gonna put your wool in it, and then you are going to, as tightly as you can, you're gonna be wrapping this up. So I'm gonna kind of start right here. I'm gonna wrap the end over, and let's go like this. Tuck the edges in. So we're wrapping this up as tightly as we can. Restart if you need to. Just kind of like pull pieces over as needed. So you just get it kind of all evenly wrapped. So once you get yours wrapped up, if you have a nylon, this will just make it easier for you. So what I have here, both of these ends are actually open because I'm letting my daughter use the toe end. So what she can do is she can just put her hand in, through the end and then grab it so that her wrapped up bar is in the toe. But what I'm gonna do, since I'm not using that end, is I'm gonna tie a knot on one end of mine so that I make a pocket. Okay, so I have the end tied here. And again, like this is so that you can use the same pair of nylons for multiple bars of soap. Okay, so now I can put this through. I'm actually gonna put it inside out and grab it like this. This is just gonna help hold it together while I agitate it in water. And now I'm gonna tie off the other end. Okay, so people of all ages can do this. Children might need a little help, but this is something for anyone to try. And grab it. Okay. There we go, wonderful. And then you can tie it off just like you would tie off a balloon. There you go, yep. So it's really going to be helpful to have the nylons, especially if you can't get it to wrap tightly. Like with all those different colors and pieces, I was having a hard time wrapping that up tightly. The nylon's going to help tremendously with that. All right, so now we are ready to do the actual felting to get the wool to stay on our bars of soap. So to do this, you're gonna want to have a towel handy because things are gonna get wet and soapy, and then you're gonna want cold and hot water. If you can't get both cold and hot water, then hot water is what you're going to wanna be using. So you're gonna take your bar of soap that has your wool on it, and the first thing you're gonna do is you're going to dip it into the water. We can go with either hot or cold first. What's most important is that you use mostly hot and then cold at the end to kind of seal it back up. So I'm gonna go into the hot first because I can handle the warm water. My daughter might want to start with the cold water. And then you're just gonna start to rub the soap on all sides. Once you go back and forth between the cold and the hot, your hot water is going to start to cool off. So that's why if you can handle it, use mostly the warm water.
It's freezing.
Okay, you're going to rub it on all sides. Really get some bubbles forming. Get some bubbles. You want to see some bubbles. It's the agitation that's going to seal it on. You're going to need to do this for about 8 to 10 minutes.
I want to use this one.
Okay, go ahead in there. See how I'm getting some bubbles?
Bubbling a little.
You're rubbing all sides.
There's bubbles. Oh, here's a lot.
You could do this over the sink. That'd probably be the easiest way.
Or at your table, like we are.
After at least 5 minutes of agitating the wool, rubbing the wool, massaging the wool while it's in the pantyhose or the nylons, then you actually want to cut the nylon off, and you're going to continue with the same process without it on. So if you were someone that wasn't using the nylon to begin with, this is how it would have been the whole time for you. I'm going to remove this carefully. Snip, snip.
Snip, snipping. So that's how it's gonna
I'm
look.
gonna take it off of.
Do you put it back in the water?
Yep, we'll continue then to agitate it. Once it's starting to really feel like the wool is kind of firmly on your soap, give it one last dunk in the cold water. One last dunk in the cold water. And then you're gonna let it dry.
How?
You kind of gently squeeze out as much excess water as you can get. Don't squeeze too hard though, because your soap is actually going to be kind of soft at this point. And then you're going to set it down on a towel and you're going to let it dry. My last dunk in the cold water for this one. Okay, I'm just going to now squeeze out any excess water. Shape it how you want it to be too. So take a moment and push in the edges or make it round, make it symmetrical. You know, massage it into the positioning you want. And then you're gonna let it dry. Once you get your water cleaned up, you might want to take your towel and just towel dry your felted soap, just to help the drying process go more quickly. All right, so now I'm going to show you how you could needle felt a simple shape like a heart onto a felted piece of wool. Now this is not easy to do because number one, the soap is a hard surface. So when you poke the needle in, you only have a very thin area of wool that you're working with, and you have to be careful because you don't want to poke too hard because then you could break your needle into the soap. So what you want to have handy is, besides your felting needle, you want a towel and you want a little cup of water. And then what you're going to do is take just a small amount of the colored wool you want to use, and you really don't want to use much. Like I used a lot here, and that kind of took a while to really start to get this to condense. So I'm just going to take a small amount here. I'm just going to make one little heart right here. So I'm first going to just dip my finger in the water and just get that area a little bit wet. I could even rub it around a bit and see water is just going to help get the wool to shrink, especially if the water is warm. When it dries, it's going to shrink. It's just going to help it attach. It's also helpful if your bar of soap is not completely dry. So I just felted this bar of soap today, so it's only been drying for a couple of hours, so it's still probably pretty soft compared to what it would be like if I let it sit for a full day or two. All right, so I'm going to place the wool where I want it, and I'm going to start just trying to get it to stick and attach. Now, what you'll have to do sometimes is actually, while keeping your needle straight, poke the needle at a bit of an angle. So the needle, I'm not bending the needle, but I am positioning my soap a little bit differently, because since it's hard to go straight just down, it's not gonna combine the fibers much. But if you can go at a slight angle so that the needle is going into more of the other wool fibers that are already attached to the soap, that's gonna help. Okay, so that's gonna get me started here. And I'm just keeping my fingers out of the way and just looking at what I'm doing. And I'm really just like kind of wiggling the needle slightly and just trying to agitate these fibers together so that they will combine. And I'm gonna do this in different directions now. So over this way. And I can go straight up and down as well, but it's just gonna take some time and patience and a lot of poking and careful observation to get this heart done. And then I think I'll add one more to this as well. So I'll go ahead and speed it up now so you can see this progress. Felting soap is a really fun project for people of any age, from children to adults. I hope this video helps you get started and have fun making felted soap.